And away we go. It is the aftermath. There's an echo in here. Brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. Go see our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. They are located in Dayton, Kentucky, right down the street from Newport on the Levee. It is by far the best fried chicken in Cincinnati. Great fried chicken, great chicken tenders. Love the chicken dunkers. Great French fries, coleslaw, fried pickles, deviled eggs, you name it. And, of course, the Galactic sauce is out of this world. All right, let's get to it. Cincinnati falls 35-13 to Navy in the Liberty Bowl. How bad is that echo, Aaron? It sounds really bad in here.
Look, it's not your best quality, but it is what it is. It's kind of in tune with the entirety of the Liberty Bowl, right? Just not your best quality.
Just not your best overall day, pretty much in general from the Cincinnati Bearcats. Let's pivot. See if maybe we're in a palatial penthouse here in Memphis. You want to take the tour, Aaron?
Sure. I got nothing else to do.
Kitchen back there. Living room. Skylight, little sitting area over here. That's where I was. The echo was really bad with that skylight. Living room where we watched some football last night. There you go. That's the tour.
Nice.
Gus's Fried Chicken. The Memphis equivalent of Galactic Fried Chicken. We don't have Galactic here in Memphis, so we had to get some Gus's. I wasn't too hungry though, Aaron. I was getting on the elevator in the fourth quarter to go back up to the press box, and the guy that does the catering just gave me a rack of ribs. So I was just walking around with a spare rack of ribs going back up to the press box.
You thought you looked hungry.
I had met him earlier. We had conversed, and then he was down in the lobby right when I was getting on the elevator. It's like, you want ribs? I was like, yeah, I'd like ribs. Look at me. Do I look like I'm going to say no to a rack of ribs?
Your words, not mine.
So, yeah, it was the trip to Memphis has been outstanding. Had one of the better dinners I've had in a long time last night. I had a flight of surf and turf last night, Aaron.
What does that even mean?
That means I had like a tenderloin, and it had like a crab béarnaise on it with mashed potatoes, and then I had like Wagyu cut that had a giant piece of shrimp with the chimichurri, and then I had a third one, and that one had a lobster tail.
Business must be good.
Liz paid for it, so. But anyhow, let's talk some foot. I mean, do we have to talk about that game? We got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Portals open, visits start tomorrow. There's a new defensive coordinator coming to Cincinnati somehow, some way. The old defensive coordinator is on his way out. There might be a new offensive coordinator next year. Like, there's a lot happening right now. A lot. I don't get any of Brent's sports betting money, unfortunately, and neither does Brent because he's not very good at it. So he keeps betting on the Bearcats.
Yikes.
35-13. It was... I don't know how bad it looked on TV, Aaron. It was bad. Through like the first three quarters, the weather was – it wasn't the worst weather for a UC game. The Miami game, remember when the hurricane blew through at Paul Brown Stadium?
That was terrible. Yes, that was terrible.
That was probably the worst one I can remember. The good part, I will say – the good part is no weather delays. Those are bad. Yep. It was just rain, but it made offense almost impossible. 2008. Was that Miami game? Was that all the way? But that wasn't 2008. That was more recent than that.
I feel like it was like 2019.
It was Fickley. It was Mike Warren. So
Yeah.
2018, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, terrible. Playing the slop like old time's sake. Yeah, the paint wasn't dry on the field.
You could tell.
So everybody just had paint all over their uniform. Tony Pike told me that him and Dan Horde were down on the field before the game, and they went to walk across the end zone to get to like where they were going. And a couple of the Liberty Bowl people were like, wait. The paint's not dry. And they're like, the game starts in 2 hours and it's raining. What do you mean the paint's not dry? It was 65 degrees and sunny yesterday. What are we doing? But anyhow, let's get to the game, Aaron. Whatever you got, unload the clip.
It was, look, it wouldn't be a Tyson Veit defense if they didn't allow bookend touchdowns on either side of halftime. And we saw that. It was the game was going fine. It was 7-7 before, and you would stop the Navy 3 and out. You gave up a touchdown. Okay, fine. You answered back on the next possession. Cool. And then you even forced Navy to punt. But you gave them the ball back and allowed them to score before halftime. You allowed them to score again after halftime. Then the fumbles start, or the turnovers, I guess, start.
Yeah.
And it was all too little too late. You played sloppy. You had personal fouls on some dumb shit. I know that Satterfield addressed some of it in the confusion, I guess, in the post-game presser.
That was right. The one right right before halftime.
Yeah.
So I guess Satterfield said he was told it was a 15-yard penalty on Navy.
Right.
There was like 3 seconds left in the half. So Satterfield declined the penalty, saying we were just going to go into halftime anyway. Declined the penalty. We'll go to halftime. And then when he came out of halftime, they were like, actually, that was a 15-yard penalty on you. And because you didn't take the timeout, we had to run off the 10 seconds, which means the penalty rolls over into the second half. And essentially Satterfield was like, the refs were just like, sorry, man. Like, we messed up. Sorry, nothing we can do about it now.
So silly.
Yeah.
The offense, obviously, we knew it was a tall task to expect Brady Lichtenberg to look quite like anything that resembled Brendan Sorsby.
Especially in that weather, dude. I'm telling you, like right as the game started, it wasn't bad before the game. Like there was like a light drizzle, like it was spitting, right? It wasn't raining. And then as soon as they came out for the start of the game, it started raining, and it rained all the way through the third quarter into the fourth quarter.
But you saw, you got to see Samaj Jones.
Yeah.
You got to see him not pass the ball really at all. So you saw running back Samaj Jones.
Look, he gave you the best chance. Like in those conditions, let him run. Like he's good at it.
Sure. And then you saw the running back core decimated down to 2 by the end of the game as Zion Johnson had to go to the locker room. Jalen Hunt ended up coming back. I think those were the only 2 injuries, at least that I can recall. So good that Hunt ended up coming back. But just a miserable game. Obviously, Navy, they don't really have people transferring out because it's a little hard to do that when you are enlisted. So they're playing with every weapon they have. No pun intended, being that they're a military academy. But
I know we're
It's
not
just-
supposed to say this. They play dirty.
They don't really get called for it.
They play. I know we said it back in the American days when Cincinnati would play them all the time. But they do not play clean football by any stretch of the imagination. It's dirty.
Tom in the chat, yeah, Cincinnati player did slap a guy in the back of the head. We did address they did not play clean.
No.
But yeah, that's my initial assessment. Just it looked like a team that was missing a lot of players, and they most certainly were. Still, that they must have been bracketing Joe Royer again because
Well, he didn't play a whole lot, and I don't blame him.
I know. It's just funny that
I
he's
know.
still unable to be targeted because my goodness, we can't get a guy who is supposed to be NFL caliber open at any point in time to get him the ball.
See, this is what I love, though. Dirty, get over yourself. This is what Navy does, right? They chop block. They play a little bit after the whistle. They're a little bit. They get away with being a little bit more chippy. And then when you dare question them, get over yourself. Get out of here.
What are you gonna do?
We saw it for 5 years in the American. We talked about it every time they play Navy. The Navy team's willing to serve and die for you. It's football, Tom. It's football.
That's one of both things can be true, right?
It's football, dude. It's a football game. Get out of here. The rule, yeah, they break them. There was 3 or 4 times in the press box, non-biased people were like, I thought chop blocks were illegal. People that worked for Memphis, they have nothing to do with the game. I thought chop blocks were illegal. Well, they're illegal, but they just don't call them when Navy does them. Tom, you know what's fun? I run this channel. Bye-bye. Anywho. All the opt-outs and transfers, that's the problem with the bowl system now, Fox, is this is what everybody's dealing with except for Navy and Army. Like, they are the two that don't really get hit by this. Crib Keeper, they don't pick who they play. The bowl games pick the teams. The teams don't get to say in this at all.
I do apologize. I did not know. I thought they were enlisted. I did not know they were commissioned, not enlisted.
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is, but to those who do, there you go.
I would like to pick Rice next time. But anywho, look, whether they play a little extra outside the rules or not, Navy was the better team. Like, Navy, and this is what we pretty much all said was going to happen. Like, Navy was more prepared, more positioned to win this game than Cincinnati was. Cincinnati had 18 guys out. Here's a good one. I heard Rob Jackson practiced all the way through the bowl season, and then on Tuesday, when it was time to go to Memphis, he was like, no, I'm good.
Isn't that essentially what Evan Pryor did?
Basically, well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I think Evan was there. I don't think he was like fully practicing, but he was around waiting to see if they could but
come to an understanding.
Come to an agreement, yeah. And then they didn't, so he entered the portal. But no, Rob Jackson's a senior. Like, he just ended his football career 5 days early.
Well, again, what are you going to – I mean, there's no – until you are incentivizing the players, because they should – I mean, if you're tacking on an extra game compared to the other 12, I understand it. I do. Because you're being paid for everything else, so you're kind of on a volunteer basis with your body. So I'm not going to be mad at anybody. It's a little dirty to practice all the way through, and then at the last second be like, nah, fam, I'm good.
The Royer thing, I get, like the weather. He's got a lot of money at stake. I don't think he was on the field much. I think he played a little bit.
I love that Golday was dressed, ready to go, but still just
they won't let him. No, stop. This is for your own safety and health. Keegan, what are you doing? You want to come say hi?
Oh, I didn't even know you guys were staying together. That's adorable. A little father-son bonding time.
It's cheaper to buy an Airbnb for 2 than it is to rent 2 hotel rooms. There's Keegan.
I was gonna switch my laundry, but then I realized it would make noise.
Yeah.
So
Keegan uses the Airbnb to do his laundry. We got up at we're like
GTL.
We were getting ready to go to the game, and Liz is like, are somebody doing laundry? Keegan's like, yeah, I'm doing laundry.
Welcome.
Wouldn't be a vacation with Keegan if he wasn't doing laundry.
Yeah.
He got up, he went to the gym, he had Chick-fil-A.
Unreal.
Yep.
So
how about that trick play? Oh, that was a doozy.
Woof. Woof.
Navy was not tricked.
We're not.
There was a guy standing there waiting for Cyrus Allen, like, come on.
He was like, nah, not me. That's you, Brady.
Remember the old game Hot Potato?
Yeah.
I don't know if he was supposed to. Keegan, I don't know if he was supposed to pitch it back or not, but as soon as he saw number 14 standing there waiting for him, he got that ball out of his hands real quick. Keegan is actually going to go to sleep here shortly. He's going to get about 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours of sleep, and then he's going to get up at like 4 a.m. and drive back to Cincinnati for the Houston game.
Oh, to be young again.
Yeah, I remember those days. Mm-hmm. So, yes, the expectation is that Keegan will be back in Cincinnati to see the Bearcats take on Houston. What else we got? Lichty, I felt bad for Lichty. Like, there's just no chance.
Oh, I think there were chances, but guys were dropping the ball. Noah Jennings had at least 1 drop, 2 drops.
Yeah, dude.
Bad drops.
I know, but it was gross. It was gross.
It hit you here.
I know. That was a Samaj pass. That was Samaj, the one that Noah Jennings?
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Right here.
Yeah.
Make it a body figure it out, man.
Yeah. It just did not. But I feel bad for Lichty because that's not his game. Running the football is not his deal. It's standing back there and slinging it around, and he just there's never a chance really for that to happen.
Well, even Caldwell and Isaiah Johnson both had drops.
Yeah.
Just tough look all around, especially when you had pretty much all of your guys at receiver and tight end.
Who loses by more, football or basketball tomorrow? With the basketball line, 7.5 is what it came out. That was the discussion in the BCJ chat.
Has it swung?
I don't know. I don't gamble. 1 and 2.
7.5 still.
Still 7.5.
Yep. Opened at 11.5 and swung to 7.5. Weird.
Same as this spread. This was Navy 7.5. It ended a little different than that.
A little lopsided.
Yeah. But there wasn't much Lichty could do. It just was outside of his skill set, the way that the game had to be played for most of the game. And then by the time they were down and the rain had slowed down, there wasn't a whole lot you could do to get back in it at that point. And then he throws the pick six that makes it look even worse than it was, makes it 3 scores instead of 2. But I don't know, Aaron. I'm going to get into the other stuff more than I think people want to hear about the other stuff than the game itself.
Look, I'm totally fine if we never breathe another word about the Liberty Bowl again.
Manny Covey, excellent game for Manny Covey. Broke off a long run. What do you end up with?
His returns were outstanding. I thought for sure he was going to break one of those.
You want to know what I was really upset about? And I forgot to ask in the post game, and I meant to. Why were they fair catching on kickoffs? Navy was kicking the ball to like the 8-9 yard line. They weren't like high kicks where the coverage was all the way down. The coverage was 10, 12 yards away when the ball was caught. You got a returner with a head of speed that's more athletic than Navy's guys. You got a whole wall in front of them. Why were they not returning kickoffs?
Everything that I saw Manny Covey do in the return game today was, I thought he was going to break one.
Yeah.
He got damn close. If he doesn't slip on the wet paint, which there should have been a sign, right? You should have had a sign there on the field, like one of those yellow signs, wet paint, caution. I don't know.
I think if he just kept sprinting, he could have outran that guy. I don't think he needed to cut back.
Didn't need to dig, yeah.
I didn't think he needed to try to reverse field and go inside on him. I thought if he would have just kept sprinting to the sideline, I thought he could have outran him. Easy for the old fat white guy in the press box to say. As I was dogging down a full
rack of
ribs.
Oh,
you didn't have to cut back.
Yeah,
you could have got him.
That checks out.
Why didn't they attempt an onside after the last touchdown? I don't know. Should have let some on. P. Crawley, I don't think is there anybody that was there in the chat? Because if you were there, it was gross. Like that was not a game that you wanted to let people drop back and pass. It would not have ended well for you. Did you think that that's a game you should have let the quarterback just sit in the pocket and chuck it around?
The quarterback who hasn't actually passed all season.
Yeah. Like, come on, guys. Like, I get. You don't like Satterfield. Okay, that's great. The game plan was altered because of the weather. The rain was bad. And the thing was, it was like looking at the forecast all day, it was supposed to be a pretty light rain. And then as soon as it got to kickoff, it started coming down good. Like I tried a couple times to go down and get pictures for the website. And And I wouldn't even take the camera out there for more than like 90 seconds because I was afraid it was gonna break the camera. It was gonna ruin the camera. So yeah, I would not have advised Samaj Jones standing in the pocket throwing the ball around. I thought Jonathan Thompson, the thing is, ultimately, Aaron, I thought the defense had a heck of a game. Like, eventually, it's going to break. When you're playing Navy in the rain, it's going to break. But there were a bunch of 3-and-outs. It felt like Thompson and Peak were all over the place.
Yeah, they had, like, almost 20 tackles between the two of them. 19.
Yeah. Like, I thought the defensive game plan was good. Like, I was genuinely impressed by the defense. Peak with 11 tackles, Thompson with 8, Coleman had 6, Dingle had 6, Lewis had 4. Like, I thought whatever they did with that 3-4 look, and then with Peak kind of coming down and playing in the box as well. I thought Sabor played good until he got ejected for the targeting.
Don't try and shoulder tackle. He went for the shoulder tackle, took a bad angle. It was definitely targeting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I'm not saying it wasn't targeting. I'm saying I thought he was playing well until the targeting. I thought Monte Whedon popped a couple times, flashed a couple times. So, ultimately I thought outside of they picked on the young corners a little bit, Patrick Williams and Daniel James, guys that haven't played. For Williams, it was you got some? Large pro? I'm down. Just hanging out here in Memphis. I thought they picked on the young corners a little bit.
That's what they should have.
Yeah, they should have. There was one, I think it was a 3rd and long, and they ran an out route, and the corner, I don't remember which one it was, the corner turned to the middle of the field, and by the time he looped all the way around, it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. They should have had a chance there to get off the field. And instead of staying in the zone, he looped and tried to come back to the guy. And it was just a wide open, easy, 9-yard gain on 3rd and 7.
Felt like they picked on probably Jamari Johnson more than anybody.
Yeah, he got picked on too.
Yeah.
So hopefully those young guys will learn from it. And you can get some more out of them. There's going to be a new cornerbacks coach that's in. You're going to have a new defensive coordinator. So anything else from this that you wanted to discuss, Aaron?
Nope. There was just another example of this whole thing being it was almost a carbon copy of all of the bad losses. All of them in the last 2 years have almost had the signature on every single game where you give up a score right before halftime and you give up a score right after halftime, and good luck coming back from a 14-point swing.
Yeah. I mean, they even did it during that 7-game win streak. They just happened to have pretty big leads.
Enough points. Yeah.
At that point in time that they were able to hold the other team off.
Well, Tyson Veit, felt like you were only here for a cup of coffee, even though it was 2 years, but happy trails, sir. Good luck at Penn State. You're going to have a whole lot less responsibility and a whole lot more time to figure some things out.
I think that the Veit era should have been better, without question. I don't think anybody will question that in any way, shape, or form. For whatever reason this year, Aaron, they got so passive. This, it wasn't who they were, especially the end of last year when it felt like the defense was improving. But this year,
every game, everything
was way off the ball. Catches were being made with just nobody in the general vicinity on 3rd down, 4th down. The 3rd and 5 and the DBs are 7-8 yards off. That's not the version of the Iowa State defense that we expected to see here. That was a super aggressive secondary.
If Tyson
a super aggressive secondary at Iowa State that they're one of the leaders in the country in takeaways every year.
I wonder, because we think about what the differences were between last season and this season. Was it Eddie Hicks? I don't know the answer to that, but was it Eddie Hicks?
No, maybe. Harry Combs was the DB coach last year, and that didn't go well.
What I'm getting at is, was Eddie Hicks the one telling them to play off that much, or was it not?
No, that's a scheme. That your position coaches don't have that power, Aaron. That's a scheme. Think they would. That's a scheme. We're playing off coverage, and we're bailing. It's good bail. Where as soon as the ball snaps, you take 3, 4, 5 steps back. The crazy thing was, Aaron, when they didn't bail, the Baylor game, they were pretty good. I never understood third and short, 3rd and manageable, and you're just giving away
the chains.
You're just
every
saying
time.
Here,
yeah.
Run 2 yards past the chains, turn around, the catch is going to be easy. we're not going to have anybody around.
Well,
Like,
that's the same thing.
Wild to me.
It's just as wild to me that you have no interceptions. Every press conference, you're talking about getting more interceptions, yet you literally refuse to ever have your defensive backs watching the ball.
Yeah.
How do you ball hawk when it's not as if they were playing catch up. They were fast enough that they were keeping up with the receivers more often than not. They weren't just getting outright beat down the field, especially when you're playing 8-10 yards off the ball. Yeah. So if you're playing that far off the ball, if you're playing that far off the ball, you should be able to make a play on the ball. And It was as if they just refused to allow any defensive back. I don't know if there was punishment when if you played with your face to the quarterback, but you could not. You never allowed your defensive backs an opportunity to read the quarterback's eyes.
Yeah.
Like, how did you expect them to get a turnover when they're just watching the receiver that they're tailing and trying to play his eyes and throwing a hand up to break up the pass and getting pass interference all the time because of it?
Right. Because watch any level, especially NFL and high-level college. If you don't get your head around, you almost have to be perfect for the official not to throw a flag. Like, if you're playing with your head not looking at the ball, they are going to throw the flag 9 times out of 10 because you're just running through the receiver with no vision of the play. As soon as a guy gets his head around, they will stop throwing the flag. You can be physical, you can run through him, but if you have your head around, they give you the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't intentional, that it wasn't a penalty.
I will be shocked and amazed if our defensive backs continue to play that way next season, regardless of who's in place.
So Tyson Byte is leaving. He's going to Penn State to be the linebackers coach. Keegan and I broke that story tonight. We had it first because that's what we do. You could tell after games that Satterfield was frustrated with it. Like, why are we just bailing and giving up first downs when we should be aggressive? And Thrifty, I've talked about it all season. Like, that also bothered me to no end, that the one team you probably should have bailed on, the team that led the nation in passing yards when the game was played, you played up and you held them to like their lowest output of the year.
Crazy.
I didn't understand it at all. It didn't make any sense to me. So, that was a little bothersome. But look, I like Tyson Byte. I loved his fire. I loved his energy. He was good to work with. He was honest when you talked to him on and off the record about what was going on and why it was going on and what he was thinking. I just don't know how we got to that point this year where, did he just not trust the talent, the talent, the what he had in the building, to the point that they were that passive? Because they didn't blitz, they didn't pressure, they didn't play press, they didn't play up. They played almost everything off. And especially on money downs, there was no aggression. Like, you watch these playoff teams, man. When it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, they go after the quarterback.
Well, I wonder because if you think back to last season, we got beat over the top a lot. This season, you didn't really get beat over the top.
No.
And I wonder if that was just the focus. And I guess if that was the focus, sure, you did it well. You just gave up a lot of first downs in the process because you didn't have your head turned around and zero aggression. So when you're playing prevent, sure, you prevented the long touchdown, but you did not prevent the first down.
Thrifty, I will disagree there. The talent at defensive back was substantially better at Iowa State than it was at Cincinnati. Iowa State lost a couple starting defensive backs, and by 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they were right back on top of their game, shutting people down on the outside. It took them a couple weeks, but they replaced essentially like both of their starting corners and a starting safety and really didn't miss a beat outside of a couple weeks. So, but I think you make a good point, Aaron. Like, it was so much about getting beat over the top last year that maybe it was just we're not giving up 40, 50-yard plays. The problem is you're at the highest level of college football. Teams are going to say, oh, you're going to give us 7, 8 yards every play? Okay, thank you.
I was going to say, the problem is you gave up the 40 to 50 yards. It just took 6 minutes to do it instead of 6 seconds. So,
right. And now your super high-powered offense doesn't get to play. They get 20 minutes a game. Timeline to bring in a new defensive coordinator, probably not long. I mean,
I hope not.
I don't know. I'm guessing the Penn State stuff, and this is just me guessing. I can't imagine it like just happened in the last like day or two. Like, I'm sure there was a, hey, this is a possibility conversation.
I'd also think that Campbell would probably carry himself a little differently than, I don't know, Lane Kiffin, where he asks permission to speak to the coach as opposed to just, kind of doing things his own way and off the record and out in the shadows.
The Mike Mickens thing, guys, look, I've known Mike Mickens for a long time. And if you've been around long enough, there's nothing I love more than when things happen that are good for Bearcat Journal. Mike Mickens being the defensive coordinator would be Tony the Tiger, great for Bearcat Journal. Generally, there's connections when these things happen. And I don't know the connection Mickens to Satterfield. Now, they run a 3-3-5 at Notre Dame. It's like I said, we've talked about for a long time. It's a much different version than the Iowa State Tyson Veit 3-3-5. If you want to stick with the 3-3-5, Mickens would. Okay. I'll trust your football acumen over Mike Mickens running the 3-3-5.
You said if you want to keep it. I don't want to keep it. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'd be totally okay if they made the move to a 3-4 or a 4-3 even.
No. You would get destroyed in the Big 12. 3-4 or a 4-3. Destroyed. Now, a 4-2-5 you could maybe talk me into, or a 3-3-5 like the one that Notre Dame runs where you have an extra corner on the field, one less safety. Like, there's a lot of different ways to scheme it up and to run it. But you're only running 4 defensive backs on the field in 2026 in college football, you're dead. You're dead.
My only concern has been their inability to tap into talent in the secondary. To be throwing five guys in the secondary. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. People that don't know what they're talking about, you're going to run the 4-3 again, when teams that have 4 and 5 wide receivers on the field at all times, and you're going to have 4 defensive backs to guard all of them. Anywho, I mean, it's a matter of style, Aaron. That's the thing. That's more than anything. We've talked about this a million times. It's the style that you play, whatever that system is. The 3-3-5 is a passive unit. As a passive defense, it won't work. It'll never work because the quarterbacks are too good, the receivers are too good, and if you just tell teams we're going to give you 5, 6, 7 yards,
they're going to take it.
They're going to take it. But the funny thing is, there were people complaining about the 3-3-5 when Marcus Freeman ran it here, and they were like the number 3 defense in the country.
Look, sometimes we're just going to complain. That's what happens. There's no rhyme or reason for it. We're just going to complain.
I'm aware. That's not my style. I like to have reason. I like to have a well thought out complaint process.
Oh, I have good reason to complain. It gets conversation going because it annoys you to no end.
Thrifty Walrus makes a great point. If the third string corner can't guard the slot receiver consistently, I'd love to see the third string linebacker do it.
Yeah. Golday would have been all right doing it this year.
No, he wouldn't have. Tight ends, great. Awesome. Running backs, yes. Slot receivers, no. We'll get to complain tomorrow after the basketball game. Well, the good news is for me,
should be fun.
You'll be complaining to Aaron and Keegan because I will not be here tomorrow after the basketball game. I'll be in Nashville with family.
I'm very curious to see how long Keegan enjoys me complaining tomorrow before he's ready to sign out.
Keegan was really annoyed. Aaron, they had I've never seen this before. The Memphis crew that does the scoreboard and the stats.
Yeah.
There was 5 of them sitting in the front row right in front of Keegan and I.
Yeah.
And they just argued back and forth for 3 hours.
That's fantastic.
It was 52. No, it was 49. No, it was 52. No, it was 49.
Children.
He was so mad.
At least they weren't
still so mad.
At least they weren't actively recording a live podcast, streaming a live podcast from the box, because that's what we had to deal with in Dallas.
Yeah. No, it was really bad. And then I think 2 of them were married because they fought like husband and wife for 3 hours.
I thought you were going to say because they had dinner together in the press box.
That's a different thing. It's a different thing.
Well,
I offered him ribs, but nobody wanted any of my rack of ribs. So,
such a strange thing.
It's the fourth quarter. All the food is put away. I walked in. Everybody's like, "Where did you get a rack?" Because ribs weren't even part of the press box meal. Well, where did you get a rack of ribs?
Getting back to the conversation, at the end of the day, I'll be completely honest. I don't actually care what scheme they're running. 3-4, 4-3, 3-3-5, 4-2-5. I don't care. It just has to look vastly different than everything we saw this season.
Yeah, it has to be aggressive. There has to be some.
There was no havoc.
Oh,
I know in the chat they're asking about at what point did you detect Sat was frustrated. Sat talked several different times throughout the season about needing to cause more havoc, about needing to be more disruptive. And I feel like it started week 4, week 5. It started early on.
Yeah. Probably, I'd say probably middle October. Middle October, where it was why are we giving up 7 yards free on 3rd and 5?
And we started asking the questions in the presser about that soft coverage where you're giving them that cushion, and he agreed. He was annoyed with it as well. No. So I don't know where the disconnect was. I wish I did. I'm curious to see if anything comes out on that at some point during the offseason when they talk about moving on to whoever ends up being the next defensive coordinator. I'm sure there'll be some conversation somehow, some way, an answer that comes out like we needed to be more aggressive. We weren't ever able to figure that out. But it was maddening, absolutely maddening.
For sure. So I wish Tyson Vite well. Ohio guy. I liked him a lot. I really did. As good as that Iowa State defense has been over the past decade, I really looked forward to Cincinnati running the system that was consistently the number 1 defense in the Big 12. I just don't think they mirrored it. I don't think they mirrored it enough, Aaron. That's the biggest thing for me is it didn't look like Iowa State's defense.
No, because there was zero aggression.
There were 0 turnovers. There was 0 The secondary just didn't play like Iowa State's secondary has played for the last decade.
Now, you bring up that usually there's a connect when you hire in a new guy. Tyson Veit did not have a connect to Scott Satterfield, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. It was Matt Campbell.
Well down the tree.
Well, Satterfield coached with Campbell, and Veit coached with Campbell. So
it's like a third cousin.
No, it's like a first cousin. Satterfield and Campbell are kind of brothers in the coaching world, and Veit was Campbell's son, nephew, maybe even a nephew. I'll give it first cousin. But there was a connection. There's always a connection. That's why I don't know, like, if they'd go to the Mickens tree. Thrifty, because Sat's an offensive coach. And I'm guessing those things happen in game, and then the corrections are afterwards. And Satterfield made it pretty clear he wasn't happy about it and wanted it to look different. And if, spitballing here, I would guess that's the mutual parting of the ways. Right? Because Veit had another job. This could have just been a one-sided parting of the ways. I don't think Cincinnati fought real hard to make that happen. Isn't Mickens connected to Walt Stewart? That's different. Walt's not a Scott Satterfield guy. Walt was a leftover that
legacy.
And I don't think that's, no. I'd love, again, there would be no hire in the country that would be better for Bearcat Journal than Mike Mickens being hired as defensive coordinator.
I can think of one or two that would be equally.
Probably not. I think you'd be wrong.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, I think those would be. I know what you're thinking. Those would be good, but I've known Mike Mickens since he was, a sophomore in college, freshman in college, sophomore in college when I started doing this. Mike would be great for Bearcat Journal. We had 2 more interceptions than the Jets this year. Yay.
Setting the bar so low.
I know. And then transfer portal. I can tell you this, Lincoln Kienholz, Ohio State transfer, as long as everything goes as planned with the paperwork from Ohio State and all that stuff, I expect him to be in town tomorrow. We'll visit through Sunday. I'm the connection. I think it's, I don't think he's the runaway only guy. I think there's other bullets in the gun, but usually the guy that comes in first is the guy that you would like to get done and be done with. Now, the way a lot of this works these days, if we're at Monday, Tuesday, and Lincoln Kienholz is visiting Louisville or taking other visits, it's probably not going to happen for you. That's just how things go, in this era. They come, they visit, they hear the pitch, they hear everything about the program, they get the financials, if you will, and if you can't get it done pretty quickly after that visit ends, and they start talking about what's next, where they're going next, then you're probably moving on to your next target. The one thing I'll drop some information here I have gathered today, Aaron. You know where Lincoln Kienholz is from?
No.
South Dakota.
A little bit off the beaten path, but then isn't there a tackle on the team who's also from South Dakota?
Those two know each other, from what I understand, pretty well. So that could be something that works in the Bearcats' favor. It's not like
there's a quarterback who's got to connect to our future tight end as well.
Yeah. So, well, guess what? Lincoln Kienholz played with Joe Royer Joe Royer's not going to be here next year, but he can get a lot of information from Joe Royer tonight. Are you guys going player by player? I need more coverage of the Liberty Bowl.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out.
There will be Keegan and I. We didn't. One of the reasons we're not talking a ton about the Liberty Bowl is we were busy during the Liberty Bowl today, and it did not involve watching football. There was a lot going on with the portal opening and the coaching staff stuff and getting everything buttoned down so we could report Vite's departure.
Look,
basically as soon as the press conference ended.
I'm just curious to see what other coaching staff changes Sat was alluding to.
I think there will be someone. I think it's very likely. I didn't report it because it's not. Vite was that was news, right? That was at the finish line of reporting something. I think there's a very good chance there's a new offensive coordinator, new run game. Like, I think the structure of the offense will be different next year.
It's almost like I was calling for that a couple weeks ago, and you more or less told me to shut up.
Again, it's not going to be somebody calling plays. So
I didn't see much progression from start to end of year in that wide receiver.
Yeah, and what did I tell you? Like, in terms of like a wide receiver coach, if you want to make a change there, I get it. I just like offensive coordinator. That's Scott Satterfield. So, like, yeah, like a change at wide receiver. I'm not reporting that though. I don't.
Maybe we can find a guy who can help Scott Satterfield scheme a tight end open. Well, I don't know. That's
maybe. Aaron. It's bracketed.
Maybe
bracketed. He was bracketed, Aaron. We're talking about brackets. Brackets, man. Brackets. We're not talking about man-to-man. We're not talking about zone. We're talking about brackets, man. Brackets.
Just saying.
How much input does the OC have with a head coach who calls plays? It varies from coach to coach. I know there are some that do it as like as a group, and they put this guy puts the run game plan together, and that guy puts the pass game plan together. They take it to the head coach, and then the head coach puts it all together and calls the plays. That's generally the way it goes.
We see it at both the professional and the collegiate level in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I hate all of it.
Yeah. And spent my whole life trying to scheme tight ends open. That's a you thing, Thrifty, that I'm just not going to comment on.
Checks out.
We are going to have a lot to get to Monday. You got anything about tonight that you want to talk about, Aaron? Keegan and I have been working on a list of visitors. I know some of them are getting out through agents and whatever. Either tomorrow night or Sunday morning, we should have a list of people that are expected to be here this weekend. No Bearcat brunch this week. I don't think.
Yes, sir.
Is there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Tomorrow at 11.
Tomorrow at 11, there's a Bearcat brunch.
I do believe, unless look, I'll double verify that with that's what we've been discussing. I'm surprised Dave hadn't put it out there yet, being that it's
Saturday at 11, not Sunday.
Correct. Just to get it done, over with, out of the way, unless they're kicking that can down the road because of what tonight looked like. But I believe it is at 11 tomorrow morning.
Maybe they could let the owner of the company know. Hey, more content the better. Nobody had mentioned Bearcat brunch to me.
You're not really involved. It's me and the boys.
I'm always involved. Always. Can we get a 3 or less word response on the Cunningham email? I don't know what else he's going to say. I don't think it's a lot of buzzwords, too many buzzwords for me.
TLDR.
Yeah, well, it sounded like an HR
Like a lawyer wrote it.
Yeah, and like people aren't gonna connect and relate to that. Like if the message, if the intent of that email was to connect with the fan base, somebody had to look at that and go, that's not going to do it. You know what I mean? That was more than 3 words. It was just not a writing style that people were going to gravitate towards. I think that's fair. Anyhow.
Currently maybe it's 10. I'm not sure. Dave's saying 10 tomorrow morning. 10.
Tomorrow morning at 10. Upset of the century tomorrow. Basketball game, 2:00 tomorrow. I guess we got the Bearcat brunch at 10. Basketball game at 2. Aftermath with Aaron at Keegan sometime after the basketball game.
Can't wait. I'm not expecting it to go well.
And then Monday night, BBP, and then more basketball as
Tuesday,
the game Big 12 journey begins.
Tuesday, George isn't available, so I don't know what I'm doing because we'll see.
Wow. That's a good one, Bragg. Maybe Wes should coach tight ends. He has no issues with brackets or bracketing.
But he does have issues with double team. We have to make sure that they've practiced that before. So,
goodness. All right, that's going to do it. A lot of content coming up over the next couple days. We'll get to it then. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Great show. And we'll see you guys down the road. That's the Aftermath, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!